This plan largely preserves many of the investments for public safety that was part of the legislature's plan, including funding for Proposition 36 that supports behavioral health, courts, and probation. The funding includes data requirements so that we can get a sense of the impact to the counties. Also, this plan also maintains, through bipartisan effort, $100 million for VOCA and adds $10 million for Family Justice Centers statewide. We also preserved funding for rehabilitative programs through the Wright Grant. Also, funding to address sexual abuse inside women's prisons, which we had a hearing on, and resources to help CDCR reduce its reception processing time to get people into programming faster, which would generate savings for the state of California. This plan also preserves ongoing funding for the California Highway Patrol and the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Forces to address child sexual abuse material. Also, the Public Safety Trailer Bill includes an important component for California's First People in helping to address the missing and murdered Indigenous women's crisis by moving forward on a public safety on tribal lands through a tribal pilot program that would deal with PL 280 and jurisdictional divides. In these times of fiscal challenges and political uncertainty, I am thankful that this plan preserves many of the priorities that are important to the people of the state of California. We also want to highlight the work that's been done to make sure that we have a military tax exemption for our veterans who retire in the state of California. Also acknowledging funding for California Indian Nations College to make sure that we do have a tribal college here in the state of California that has the highest population of Native Americans in any other state in the nation. Also highlighting foster families, $31.5 million to stabilize the foster family agencies across the state of California. And also another really important issue for California's First People is the maintaining of the tribal monument on the Capitol grounds. We also were involved in the CEQA component, dealing with the housing component, working on the priority from the Assembly and the Senate and the Governor's office on making sure that housing moved forward. 4 weeks ago, the question on cultural resources protection, if CEQA would be exempted, came up in a meeting. After bringing this forward, I immediately started working on this issue. And negotiation took place. What is on this issue today and what was heard in AB 130. I immediately started working to address those issues, to make sure that there was a voice of California's First People during this process. Negotiation took place, and the trailer bill language is the result of this hard work. Upon reaching agreement on components, I emailed language out to several tribal governments, and several letters of support came in to support the work that was being done. And different tribal letters came in, and others also were negotiating. In negotiations, we always don't get everything we want, but this is a great step forward. It does not solve all issues, but it is a great compromise that allows the state to move forward to fulfill the state's responsibility to provide affordable housing to those in the state of California. Components agreed upon with input from tribes include areas to protect AB 52 process with some additional components. While there are some who feel we didn't go far enough, we also need to make sure that when we negotiate issues, negotiation is a process of give and take. And as a member of a California Indian tribe who still conducts reburials, we know that that voice is important to make sure that our voices are being heard. When 4 weeks ago, we weren't even acknowledged in this bill. Today, we have components that moved forward, and we believe we address those issues moving forward, which was only done when we actually come together and start to work. In areas that we worked on, including in this area, and the overviews have binding conditions of approval when these projects move forward, which include, for the first time, tribal monitoring that would be paid by the developer, Project applicant would pay for these monitoring costs. Avoidance of tribal cultural resources where feasible. Cultural appropriate treatment and documentation. Making sure that record search are being done. And to adhere to the Sacred Lands Inventory request to the Native American Heritage Commission. Compliance with Health and Safety Code for human remains and reburials. We still conduct reburials for our tribe. I did a reburial when we were on spring break. So these are things that are very, very close to me and personal. And the application of tribal ecological knowledge in habitat restoration. There is a consultation time frame that starts to move forward because it is a streamlining component. Once approved from the local agency, they have 14 days, the developer has 14 days to notify tribes and formally notify them of the project. The tribes then have 60 days to respond. And I believe that 60 days up front gives us all a better chance to negotiate things moving forward. An initiation within 30 days if consultation is requested. And then conclusion of those treatments within 45 to 60 days where the tribe has a 15-day extension solely on their part. These areas, we believe, that if there is ongoing discussion, can move forward and be able to have the voices moving forward. These areas are things that we worked on. Well, some might say it didn't go far enough. We do have support from those throughout tribal communities, tribal support that's there that include letters of support from the Yurok tribe, the largest tribe in the state of California, Table Mountain Rancheria, Tule River, Indian tribe of California, the Yohaviatham of the San Manuel Nation, Sani Ynez, Band of Chumash Indians, Cocoon, Taruk Band of Ohlone, Costanoan Indians of Big Sur, the Morongo, Band of Mission Indians, Redding, Rancheria. So it shows that there is ongoing support for the things that we came together on. Again, there was no mention of protection of resources 4 weeks ago. But today we reached a compromise. Does it do everything that we want? In compromise and negotiation, no one ever gets 100%. But I believe it is a step in the right direction to preserve California's First People and to make sure that monitors are paid for by the developers to ensure that inadvertent discovery of human remains, there's a process for reburial. Thank you.